starting there. And then you were taking, let me see what trade you took. Oh, you took the, that one. All right, yeah. Wait, what is that on? Is it on NQ? The S&P. Okay. So yeah, S&P, rather clean in comparison. Right? Sweep closure, closure. Right, so protected low. Right, we retrace back in. Or protected low. And you look to trade the 15-second in here, which is fine. Right? One thing is, if you don't want to go lower, it's very valid to just take an entry here and put my stop on this low. I'm still getting 2R to those highs, right? That's great. Now, if we want to go into the 15-second, we can, right? It's not for everyone, right? Now, all you would be doing here, it's not going to technically form a model because this didn't form a low like that, right? So you're technically trading candle 5 in here. I don't know where you took an entry, micro ES, right? But if you're trading that, you're essentially trying to capture the wick of this candle, right? So the way I would approach this is ES moves a little bit more choppy. You could just trade it in here, anticipating this wick to hold. Or if you're taking an entry, giving yourself a little room for it, right? Depends how you want to trade it. But it's a valid entry, right? The main thing for that is the framework is clean. It's just very hard on ES for me to say, hey, look, this is a very clean intra-candle change in state of delivery, or this one, right? Because it's just very choppy. So I would say that's valid. I would say, I don't know how often you trade the 15-second, but I'm going to be completely honest. You don't need to go that low here. You can get a similar trade without going that low. But let me go over my bias today. If you were in the Ninja Trader stream or Tradified, I talked about it. But my main thing was gold. I wanted to see, wow, it dropped quite a bit lower. I was not looking for that much of a move, but I was bearish on gold. The main reason is we have a previous day high sweep, and then we close through that candle, right? So for me, we've had expansion, 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 forms a reversal. I want to see a move back into the range, which we got quite a move lower. I was just expecting there and then to there. We get a continuation. Now, as for ES and NQ, let's talk about it, and then I'll get into questions. So ES closed like this. I think AM talked about it. There's conflicting frameworks here because ES has a bearish setup, or ES has a bullish setup, NQ has a bearish setup, right? So pretty easy to see this bullish setup. We sweep out a swing low, right? Close back in. We have the change in the state of delivery trading towards this high, as long as 0.5 of this wick is respected, right? Cool. That occurs in the overnight session. But the thing that I want to talk about is ES has a bearish setup here, right? So if we look at the daily chart here, we don't have a candle 2 closure, but we have a ideal candle 3 closure, right? So then I'd want to see 0.5 of this opposing candle be respected there, right? And 0.5 of the previous candle be respected there. Doesn't really respect 0.5 of the previous candle, but when we get into here, this is when ES takes out its high, right? So for me, I was saying, okay, if we can retrace on ES, that is when we can get this move on NQ. We had at the open, or we had this SMT, right? There and there. And so that's what gave me my bearish framework for NQ, right? And gold. Now, oil, other things, I don't know what's going on with them, right? I genuinely don't know for oil right now. So I'm not watching it. It was just gold, ES, NQ, right? So let me see any questions. Hopefully that answered the bias. Think about oil. Yeah, you've been getting chopped up this week. So the main thing for oil is look at ES here on the daily. Okay, let's clean this up. See how we have a very nice reach into a fair value gap here? Closure back inside that fair value gap. Closure back inside. We have a very clean swing point to trade to this high. Yeah. Look at that versus look at oil. Is it very clean? Not really, right? This is closing back in. I'm bearish to these lows, so it's just not really interesting until, for me, we get a swing point to trade it back lower. Does Fractal and GXT, so the Fractal model, if you're going to use GXT, you have to master the Fractal model because it's the foundation of it. Now YM going for that daily draw. Yeah, YM is crazy. I honestly, I don't know why I didn't trade that, to be fair, because it is the cleanest. It is what it is. Took the 3-minute CISD on 10 a.m. candle long, but closed at 10:45 because it seemed lethargic. But yeah, a lot of times, if you're gonna be trading after this opening move occurs, price is gonna be generally lethargic. Where did this come from? I don't know, right? But I would have expected a slow grind higher if we're gonna do that, right? Very similar to this, right? So that's why I generally prefer not to trade that, but it's just, you took out at 10:45. I mean, did you enter here and then just exit because you were at break even? Or where did you enter? Because if that's the reason, I don't know. I'm a big fan of, once I'm in this trade, I'm just in the trade. So if you just start trying to mismanage stuff, you're just gonna mess it up. NQ made low after open and left previous day low. Ready to trade long, right? Risky to trade long. So I also talked about this in the Trade Advice stream. I was only, I don't know, I'll have to go get clips of it. I was only looking for price to trade to this low. I didn't want to see it hit previous day high or previous day low. And the reason for that is price, if we're going to expand lower, I'd want to see a shallow wick, right? It makes kind of a larger wick. Yeah, it's not a lot of range, but given the range of the previous days, it's a larger wick. So I'm more so looking towards the previous open. And if you look, this is that consolidation, right? So we sweep the high right to the low. This right here, this aggressive down, aggressive up, that's just a higher time frame wick. So it's like liquidity at 0.5 of the wick. That's more of a something that comes with experience, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. I saw someone ask a question. They're saying, hey, I was looking to short to this previous day low. They took this entry, this one, and it's not that it's a bad entry, right? We sweep that out, close below there. They shorted like something like this, right? It's not that it's a bad entry. It's just, this is why I talk about, I'm not trying to short once lows are taken out, because this is kind of what happens generally. It's like trying to long when these highs get taken out up here, right? Could it work? Sure. Many times I get screwed over, so I avoid. Is this a valid loss? Entered at 10:39, 3-minute 30, 10. USD JPY. Let's go take a look. 30-minute 3 model at 10. Well, let's first look at the daily. So could be short biased based off this if you're just trying to trade with the trend. Go to here. We see how we open. Not the biggest fan of price sweeping out the low and then forming that. Not the biggest ideal for me. Did you long or short? You did short. Okay, cool. So main thing here, is that a little shallow sweep? Yeah, it is cool. Shallow sweep, CISD, and then I'd expect this to be high a day, right? And so then 4 a.m., we have a swing point that you could short off of. 1, 2, 3. Once again, why am I not a fan of this short? Because now you've taken out, right, your previous day low, and then you're taking out this current day low again, right? Now looking on the hourly, right, we don't have a valid candle closure. You use the 30, right? The main thing here is if we're trying to catch this retracement, we want a slow, shallow move up. This is kind of displacement up. But nonetheless, you shorted there. Let's go look in it. Before I look at your trade, I'm just going to rewind so I can just take it how you would take it. And that will tell you if it's valid. You'd need price to close. This is a bit of a tough one because technically this is the series up. But if you look, boom, 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 right, we make a new low. So like I consider that the change in the state of delivery. It's a bit difficult to explain. But if I'm going to try to short this, I'm essentially looking for there, right? Let's see. And it just expands lower right away. So I'm unlikely to take that because now look, it already took these lows first before I could get on side. And now we're expanding back into the range. We're using a lot, so that's something I'd miss. You're taking it on the 30-minute chart. So similar thing there. That's if you're gonna trade on the 30-minute, so you didn't even go lower. If you're trading on the 30-minute, you still want to keep the idea of trading candle 3 or 4, right? So how would that look is if I'm anticipating this to form, I would enter there. I stop there looking for 2R, right? Or however I'm going to do that, right? I'm not trying to enter, I think you entered here, because now you're in candle 2, 3, 4, 5. You're entering too late. So I'd say the biggest thing for that is just only entering in candle 3 or 4. So I think good idea. The few things you can take away from that is we already swept out previous day low. We already swept out this short-term target here. Ideally, you want to be shorting into this low or into this low, not after it takes out the lows. I got this loss today on GBP USD. Well, before I look, let's go take a look at GBP. GBP USD. Go take a look at the daily. We're on replay mode. I guess we're not. 3 days of expansion. Okay. 1, 2. Could be bullish here today. Marking out that. Go into the daily. Go to the hour. You'd want to see a bullish. Let's see DXY. All right, so there is an SMT with DXY here. So you could use that because DXY took out its high. GBP didn't take out its low, so you could use that. I'm going to try to find a trade and see if it's the same one as yours. There, line. All right, so then I'd be looking to trade this. Now this is once again a thing where if I'm trying to long this candle, I want to be in before these highs get taken out. Let's go see if we can do that. It's unlikely to, right? Unless we were to get some sort of retracement here. I don't know if I'll get in. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be able to trade that. Let's see what you did. 9 a.m. Oh, you traded it earlier. Oh, I see what you did. Okay. Here's the main thing on this one. This is also a valid candle 2 closure. What do I not like? It rejecting that level that it would close over. Right, so I'm not the biggest fan of that. Now, once again, if I wanted to trade long, I'd want to be in prior to this hitting. I'd want to see this respect price. So I'd want to see price open, reach into there, form a low, trade that higher. Let's see. Okay. So that's just one that wouldn't offer an entry. I'm assuming you took it right on the open. Oh, the easiest way to fix what you had occur is only trade in candle 3 or 4. You are entering here. If you wait until candle 3, should be fine there. Or wait for the intra-candle change in the state of delivery. It's very choppy, but I think you had the right idea, just slightly off on the timing, so it's valid. Based on your bias and seeing how NQ and ES developed, do you think the longs from 5-minute would be bad trade? If you mean currently, yeah, I would not be longing them, personally. Once again, what did we just talk about? If I'm trying to long, I want to be in before these highs are taken in here. Do I want to be longing after these highs are taken in here? No. Right, so that's just something you pick up with the model. Yeah, the SMT at the highs made me more bearish than bullish today, but your bullish entry is marked out on NQ. Do you flip your bias midday? So I talked about this earlier. This isn't something I'm generally going to trade. It's out of my session. I'm not going to trade that. But once it hits my target, which were these lows, that's when I can anticipate a move back into the range. Did I expect it to go rip, like 70 points in a minute or two or whatever it did? No, I don't expect that. What was the bias on gold? The bias on gold was a sweep of previous day high after expansion. So looking forward to trade lower. Was there a GC trade this AM? The only one that I saw, I didn't take it because I didn't want to trade live on NinjaTrader. I didn't want people like copying me. But we look at this. This is where we were in the AM session. In here, right? It's not very clean, but my bias is okay. Expansion up. If we were going to continue expand, we wouldn't have had this deep of a retracement. So I'm expecting this low to get taken. The hourly is not clean here, and I'm not going to find a swing point in here, right? It's unlikely for price to just form a swing here and then wait all the way until 9 to go make the move, right? This is when I drop down to the 30. And I look at this and I go, okay, do I have a candle closure yet? No. Okay, now I have a candle 3 closure. Now I can anticipate this to trade lower. And then this is one of those more discretionary things. We don't have a change in the state of delivery here, right? So if I'm going to try to trade this short, this is where it's like I'm only focused on the open high low close of this candle, right? So I'm not expecting this to get taken, so I'd want to see something like that, right? Mechanically with my model, there's no entry, but this would be the only way to kind of approach it, right? To trade Fractal and GXT, do I have to study narrative and phases of price? So I would focus on the daily closures first. And once you start to learn that and blend it with the reversal structure, the phases of price will kind of come to you. I'd say that blends into the model, but I'd focus on the daily closures first. This has come from our dear president announcing EU tariffs. Good to know. Yeah, because it probably what? $10 down? Yeah. Dollar down doesn't have a direct correlation, but indices up. In order to get the fractal lens indicators, that is a separate purchase. Yeah, and I would say if you're newer to the model, I wouldn't get the indicator right away. And that's just because, I mean, I did it manually for like months and months, right? Almost like a year-ish or so. I would say you don't need the indicator to mark this all out. And I think if you just rely on the indicator, you're going to lose a lot of information that you should be learning. Once you have all the information down, you have it all done, you understand it completely, that's when it can help out, right? So I wouldn't worry about it for now. You go over 33-minute RTY. Sure. 33-minute RTY. Where? $10.39. Okay. $10.39. Here. So what are the things we notice here? I wouldn't want to be shorting this swing point because we already took out the low. Not a huge fan of longing after this because we've already had the expansion. But let's go take a look. We'll print the model. And you see we've already taken out highs to our left here. That's a protected low. That is the only way I'd get on side is if we had some sort of retracement into here and trading it higher. But I'm not a huge fan. See there. Okay. Suppose I could try to get long in here. This would be more of a risky entry where I'm anticipating the wick of this to hold. That retested the area I don't want to see get taken out that low. So maybe we can do it like 1 minute at a time. I want to see 1 minute reach into here. Once it flips, then I could get long. I don't know if I could do that, but anyways, it'd be something like this, because that's the only way to get kind of 2R to these highs. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. That's kind of the only way I would be able to trade it, because it doesn't make sense if I'm waiting for this, because then now it's like, okay, it's there. My target's in here. Now why this is a target? What do we know about our protected highs and lows when we reach into a fair value gap? Right there, lows below. This is technically protected, so I'm just taking the one to the right of it. Did it leave it? A lot of times it'll leave that. Oh, I get to take it out. No, it left it. Yeah, too funny. I don't know. That's kind of the only way I would be able to discretionarily take something. Mechanically, I just wouldn't catch anything in there. You'll notice, like, I'm just looking for those very clean reversal and then an expansion candle to set it up. A lot of these that reverse then expand, do that, I just ignore them. Yesterday, yeah, we can talk about that. Let's go. So yesterday, the whole idea was using ES because I'm anticipating it to go lower. We have expansion met with expansion. It's that reversal or a higher time frame wick, right? And then I'm wanting to see failure swings. Failure swing, high resistance liquidity. So these previous days lows marked out, right? So there, cool. So looking at that, right? All I was looking for was, here's our intra-candle change in state delivery. I'm not expecting this high to get taken if we're going to trade it lower. So into the New York session, I'm watching NQ. Let me see if we can go to a 1 minute to show you what it looks like. I'm going to do something like this. You can see the higher time frame candles. But right at 9:30, let me get way ahead. See here. We're either going to form an SMT with this high or take it out. I don't know. I'm going to let 9:30 print to tell me. If you watch this real time, it was so aggressive. It just hit the high and then snap back down. It's not loading. Nice. All right. Yeah. Nice. Anyways, I saw it. It did this, right? In like 1 minute, it went, and then it was like all the way down here. So in my eyes, it's like, I'm either going to miss this trade to these lows, right? And lower. Because my whole idea, right? If we go back to the hourly, based off ES trading to this low, right? And if you remember, that's why I was saying, okay, we can see NQ to there. Right? I think that's what I said. Yeah. So going back to this, this is one where if I'm trading strictly the fractal model in candle 3, I'm not going to ever catch this because 9:30 manipulated. If 9:30 manipulates, it's making the high, which forms a candle 2. If it manipulates, then it expands away. I'm never going to catch that mechanically. So this is where I went with a little bit more discretion. So initially, I'm looking for this low, because unless we're going to stay in the range, we're going to reach for this low. So one, I either miss it and it completely goes, or we have expansion, consolidation to sweep, then I can look to get on side here to short, or retracement to then get on side. Right, so I'm just sitting here and watching. That's not very much of a sweep or a retracement to me. I'm just giving it a few more candles. Right, this one you could consider. I just didn't really like it. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know. But anyways, takes again. This one I'm viewing it as a bullish candle, so it would need to respect that wick. Now what I showed in the last one. It's not really. Next candle. Okay, now it's leaving this high. Okay, take this high. This is a bullish candle. There's no reason to try to short this. And then this candle is where I shorted, because now we have the sweep of a high in a retracement, right? Candle 2 closure. And then I did short it in that candle. It was like a 36 something was 306, something like that was my fill. And then I was just looking for that. Right now, if I would have used my higher time frame targets, right, which is these lows here, right, I could have gotten quite a bit more out of this. Right, 16R or 15R or whatever. But that's the whole reason behind it, was just phases of price expansion. I'm expecting this low to get taken for sure, or in my mind, right? And then entering like that. Could you enter like this? Yeah, sure. Could you go to the 3-minute and just enter like that? For sure. Right? It just depends on how you want to do it. I wanted to get 2R before these lows, right? But even with that, it's still a good trade. I think that's one Garrett took and a few other people took. For today, would it make sense to have a pullback on ES? I genuinely don't know what's going on anymore for ES and NQ right now. Like I said, I'm not trying to long this, also not trying to short it. If I had to guess something, I would say, okay, if we close like this, we could get a continuation again lower. But like I said, I'm just not interested in it. So it's not very correlated. Nothing's going on. It's out of my session. I have no bias really. A correlated asset for USD JPY, I would just use dollar. Then it should be the same. So for instance, if you're looking at USD JPY here, you pull up another chart and you just pull up dollar, right? And you clean these up, right? These should be acting the same, essentially. Or if not, you can use that as divergences. Right? Or I think some people use, that's literally what I'd use. Or I think some people use USD AUD or something. I don't even know. But I would just use dollar. I don't really trade Forex, so. I executed the 3-minute. Oh, you did. Yeah, so with that, Rick, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You're just entering not in candle 3 or 4, you're in candle 5 there. I saw GC tap the 30-minute fair value gap. I didn't see any entry. Oh, I went over that. Hopefully that helped. Went over that, went over that, went over that, went over that. Hey, could you go over that? Yeah, I just went over that. Carding NQ. Hourly and daily chart. Is it the 1-day ideal candle 2 closure that gave you bearish bias? Yes, exactly. But it's an ideal candle 3 closure. Right, so we hop into NQ here. It's an ideal candle 3 closure. Candle 3, not candle 2. Candle 2 is always the high. Candle 2 didn't close back inside. Candle 3 closes below the body of candle 1, which is also the up close candle. So then that gives me a bearish bias for today. But it already reached into the fair value gap, right? So that's why I don't really care too much for this target. And because ES was complete opposite bias, it's just very confusing. In other words, wouldn't the bearish trade you outlined on Tradeify a higher probability trade? I would say yes, if it was on ES and we hadn't already taken out this previous day high. Like, you'll notice a common theme for me is I'm always trying to long prior to the targets getting taken out, right? So in this case, we already took out this target, right? Do I expect this long? And personally, I don't. Right? Does it happen? Yeah. What indicator do you use for previous candles EQ on the daily? That's just my my indicator. So I just have it here, and then have like everything turned off essentially. That, and then when I go to the daily, it'll just show the EQ. CISD. Do you validate the CISD when price touches the opposing candle's body or when it touches the wick? So it's not when price touches it, it has to close through it. So we'll just use ES here, 3-minute as an example. In Q, go into here. Right. I'm using this as a CISD. It's not a CISD until when? Is it one yet? No, because it hasn't closed. Is it one now? Nope, hasn't closed. Now price closes. Now it is one. Right? That makes sense. Looking to shift from Forex to futures, how do you guys know which index to trade? Because you're looking at ES, NQ, and YM. If you're just starting out, I would say just focus on ES and NQ and watch those two. Another thing is if you still like Forex, you can trade currency futures. We can go to something like currency futures. Say I want to trade Euro. I can watch Euro and then trade 6E. Now in this, I'm going to generally prefer the higher time frames, just as I'm less likely to get stopped out or chopped up because it'll look slightly different. Like if you look at that versus Euro USD, right? Euro USD looks a bit cleaner, right? Just slightly. I'm new to this model, but can you explain why you were bearish on gold? Yeah, so the bearish on gold was just based off of phases of price in the daily chart. So you'll see you have price expanding, right? I'm not trying to trade long after 2-3 days of expansion, right? When price sweeps the previous day high, that's when I'm looking back into the range. That's why I'm short bias. So you see, sweeps out its previous day high right here, closes through the up close candles that made that. As long as this remains, I'm bearish. Sorry, this was a dumb question, but for bias, you just do daily, previous daily candle closure plus EQ. Yeah. So I don't get my daily bias from the 4-hour. It's always the daily chart. So I'm just looking at the daily chart and then the phases of price with that, candle closures, EQ. And then from there, I confirm that bias on the hourly, right? So I see us on the daily on gold sweeping this previous day high out this morning. Was that meaning I am bearish? Does that confirm it? I go check the hourly, or you could use the 4-hour, right? Yes, it confirms it for me. And yes, you want to have the hourly CISD confirming or aligning with it. The highs I was looking for on YM today is getting drawn to right now. I don't see how you could anticipate this when the 10 a.m. 4 candle open, consolidated for 2 hours, then expanded out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you really can. Just one of those moves where it just goes. Like I wouldn't really anticipate it. If you're trying to catch that type of move, it's almost like positionally trading on the hourly. Like I'm not going to catch that personally. Like that expansion is what you mean. I wouldn't beat yourself up about it. AT, can you look at CL on Monday, please? I took 2 losses. Yeah, so the main thing with CL is its daily chart just sucks, honestly. But we'll take a look. CL Monday. I mean, that's valid to be looking Monday for a short. You'll see. Monday. Go up to the indicator. We have a daily closure. Do we have a change in the state of delivery? Yeah. Bit sus on the hourly there. See how it's just, let me clear all these drawings. See how it's not very clean here on the hourly? Or you could use this. I'm just going to step up the time. Use this level. Right? Cool. Okay, so we're into this next day. Want to see this short. It's going to mark a different level. Don't worry about it. Want to see this be respected. So ideally a shallow wick. I'd want to see generally price reach there. Literally just tag something like that. Does it do it? Nice. So I could consider this be a high of the day. There. Once again, I'm not a fan of trying to short right after these lows. So if it comes back in and retests, sure. This, once again, not likely to get an hourly swing point in here, right? So this is when I could go down to the 30. Do I have a 30-minute swing point? Yeah. Then I could look to get on side with that. Right, that's the London short. Looks like it might have stopped. Yeah, let's see. we'll look here. It's not very clean. Is there an intra-candle change in the state of delivery? No, it never closes below there. And you can wait for this next one. Takes out the lows already. See, I'm not a huge fan of trading those either. Oil's just been pretty crappy lately. So now if I'm going to trade that, generally I'm expecting this high to remain. Price will come back into this range. I'm going to continue lower. See, we're on the hourly. All right, we'll go to the 30 in here. Nope, really nothing for me. Could try this. Oops, went ahead. If I was going to try this setup, it would have to be a short into here. I stop there. There. Is there any way to set limits on this paper trading thing? Anyways, we'll just watch. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Nice one. So that's how I would have traded it if I was trading that morning. Let's see how you traded it. Oh, you just traded it a bit early. So the main thing there is if you're trading to trade, let's see. I wouldn't want to trade generally after this, right? Yes, it's a candle too, but it's already far below this low. I want to wait for a retracement, right? I don't even prefer trading that. But all there I'm saying is I want to see this high remain. So if it's retracing back into here, I could take a setup. And you see it wasn't the best price action. It still worked. Right? Oh yeah, this stream's recorded and put in the WAP. You took a bit more about what's considered a protected low or not. Yeah, I mean, we can just do it on this example even. A protected high or low was price reaches into a point of interest, so sweeps out a high, and then closes through the series of up close candles. 1, 2, 3. When it closes below there, this is protected. I'll just use the little X. Okay. Now, where's our next point of interest? I'm always going to look for a high, a low, or a fair value gap. Here's a fair value gap. Price reaches in there, closes below this series of closed candles, in this case 1. I have a new protected low. Right? Here we go. Do we have a fair value gap? No. Do we have a high? Yes. This is a bit sus. There's nothing there. No points of interest, nothing, right? There's a few things I could talk about on why I'd want to see this high remain, but, right, that's a bit too advanced. So we're just going to leave that. So right there, we reach back into this range. Right? I want to wait. There's really not much into there. You could use it as a bulky candle to trail, but I'm waiting for opposing candles. At this case, we're just trading so far lower, where I'm just likely to trail my position anyways. But there's not very many clean protected swings in here. If we want to get advanced into here, I could say, hey, I want to see 50% of this be respected. Price already went over 50% and closed below. I don't really want to see this hit. Now price reaches in, respects 50% of the wick. This should remain. That should remain. Right? But those are not as mechanical, right? So that's why I avoid talking about them generally. So not the best example, but all I'm looking for is a point of interest, sweep, or reach into a fair value gap, then close through the series of up or down close candles. I have a video on YouTube as well, just called Protected Swings. Go over YM shorts entry, 10-10. Today. YM. I personally would not be trying to short YM today. Is the strongest asset. Said 10-10. I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to short that. A few things you see here. Yeah, it's technically an ideal formation, but we're sweeping out this low, not closing below it. Not what you want to see, right? We can go down to the 5-minute. not the cleanest of things. Let's say study V-shape reversals. This is not really it. Okay, this next day, next one, does it print? Does it close back below? Oh, no way, we're going 1 minute at a time. No, it never goes in, closes below here. Wait, if you wanted to short it, sure, you could in here. Technically valid. Just sell that. Put your stop there. 2R. Oh wow, I don't know what just happened, but right, it would stop you out. It's just one of those things where this short on NQ works. The short on YM doesn't, because you're trading the strongest asset short. I thought ES looked good yesterday as far as narrative goes and having a bias. How do you know that kind of divergence? Disregard NQ and focus on ES. I mean, it was just looking at the two of them together, right? I'm taking a look. I'm not trying to trade long, candle 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I'm only looking shorts. This doesn't really tell me a whole lot because it's closing over it. ES, though, on the other hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, sweep and close back in. It just makes more sense. So I'm following that. And then if I use that bias, I'll say, okay, well, if NQ is going to reverse, it still has to respect 50% of this wick, right? It's just a bit weird. Recently received a payout and trying to stack evals, but I find myself losing a lot of discipline and taking poor setups. Do you have any advice? All right, so with that, you're trying to stack evals, but you're losing discipline. It's probably because you're getting bored. You're like, okay, I don't want to sit through this, take 10 trades to pass an eval. If that's the case, instead of blowing up 5 accounts trying to do that, risk more on the eval and just do something. So like, let's say you have a 25K account with 1500 drawdown and 1500 profit target, right? Why not just risk 750 for 2R and pass in a trade? And then you won't get bored of it instead of trying to risk, $200 a bunch of times, right? So if you're just trying to stack them, it means that you have money to put into it. This is if you don't mind spending more money to do it faster. If you want to spend less money and spend longer, then it's something like risking 200 2R trades. Now you're going to need 7 of them or so, So that's how I would approach it. I want to take longs from NQ at 1120, but the 5-minute ICISD felt was nothing to target due to high a day, should be protected. How would you find targets? Talking about longs. So I mean, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the longs. They work, but I wouldn't consider these. These are SMT, right? So they're protected. I only consider things protected until they trade into my target. So once it trades into my target, now I don't really care about this. It just becomes failure swings. That makes sense. So like kind of like this, right? Let's say, hey, we have an SMT here. Sure, that's protected. Once we hit the liquidity point, now these are just failure swings. That makes sense. But I don't think it's a bad thing to, if it felt weird, to just listen to your gut. How would you look for shorts on gold tomorrow? Likely wouldn't. Gold's expanded a lot, right? My target for that would have been, like my final target would just be this, because if we're going to form a swing low, it'd be here. I'm more interested in having a swing low form off a previous day low, trading it higher, than I would be bearish. That's because trending higher here and we have equal highs right here. Right? So I'd rather look to trade this than trade this. So it's more so, do we get a nice reaction out of this that I could long the reversal day, or just let this form, then trade that? Right? That's how I'd approach gold. So yeah, reading the rest of it, would you fade it as an expansion already occurred? Correct. AT, if you went over it already or not, just joined, was there anything to catch on gold today? I already went over it. The main thing is sweep of previous day high, hourly change in the state of delivery there, and then looking to get shorts in here, and then using candle 2 or candle 3 closures, swing points, right? The lower time frames were a bit difficult. We talked about that. 30 minute, 3 minute, right? Because we don't have a CISD in here. You just have to use the lower time frame price action in there. That AM NQ short you showed us continuation was on the 1 minute. Yeah, it was. That was just a previous day one. So if 3 days of expansion bearish, it's more so we're expecting price to go between large ranges and small ranges, right? And so when price expands, after expansion, I'm expecting consolidation or a retracement or a reversal, right? So 3 days of expansion, that's where it's kind of capped out on expansion for me. So then I'm looking at previous day high. Do we form a retracement or reversal? Do we consolidate? Today I was thinking, okay, we can form a retracement on gold. Did I expect us to trend all the way down here? No. I just wanted to go to that 0.5 of the previous day, right in here. This was good for me. Did I anticipate this? No. Is that cool? Cool. Thoughts on Euro USD trade during New York session? Got stopped out intra-can change in state delivery. Can you check? Yeah. I will try to get to everyone's questions. We are ripping. There's many questions. Euro USD, you said this one. You got stopped out. Yeah, I think this is just unlucky, to be fair, from the looks of it. You took this trade. Boom, boom. Got stopped out. Where it goes. That's valid. This is a valid trade. It's a really good one. Just unlucky. Guessing it took out some short-term high. Yeah. That's just unlucky, honestly. I'm assuming that's the trade you took, so. When you pair phases of price with closures, you give more importance over one to the other? No, they just all blend together. Like I can't say closures mean more than EQ, and then EQ means more than phases. It just matters more, or like it just blends together. Like today on gold, you could say, oh, you don't have a closure for the bias. Yeah, but I'm using phases of price, and then I want to see retracement back to EQ, right? Versus on this day, I would say, oh, nice, we have closures, but we're respecting the EQ of the previous day. Yeah, but the closure there weighs more for me, right? So it's like, it's not mechanical in that way. You entered ES short at the open of the 1015, confirmed it with CISD and reversed immediately. Yeah, so the main thing with entering that time on ES, one, ES is the stronger of the assets, so you'd want to generally be focused on NQ. But if you're entering at 1015, let's go in here. Right, those targets have already been hit, the main ones for me. Now, let's talk about this. The main way I get targets are the daily levels, right? So previous day high or low. Does it make sense for a price to go all the way up to here, then all the way back to its previous day low? No. I can go to the hourly, and I can just look for swing points on the hourly to short to. Right, so here's a swing point. There's a swing point. There's a swing point, right? So you see how we already take out these swing lows prior to your entry. So it's just that common theme in this video that I've talked about, or in this live stream, where I'm not trying to short after my targets are taken out. You execute on market order limits, generally market order. Unless I don't have good enough risk to reward, then I'll limit. TTrades upon entering based off the fractal model criteria. Do you have any tips, specific criteria to indicate a change in direction of the price from the projected targets? Projections work wonderfully though. I would say it's just kind of dependent on the current price action, higher time frame analysis. It's not like, oh, a close over this means it's going to there. Like you never know what price is going to do. I think that'll just come with experience. I think, yeah, that's just an experience thing. It'll come with time. I think I'm having issues with GXT and I haven't learned the fractal model properly. Yeah, I mean, if you don't understand my model very well, there's zero way you'll understand Garrett's model. Because Garrett's model is my model with extra confluence. So, yeah, I would definitely, you can at me whenever. Just tag me. We mark out the high-low of sideways consolidation. What are you looking for to validate a manipulation hasn't happened? So the first thing is, I want to have a bias. If I'm bullish and I have a consolidation, then I'm looking at the lows. Your question is, how do I know that a manipulation has occurred and it's not just going to do this, right? And with that, I want to see a V-shape reversal. So aggressive move down and aggressive move back up. Usually has fair value gaps on both sides. And I want to see a change in the state of delivery. So a good way to look at that, we can just use ES on the hourly here. Here, we technically have a range, right? This is a daily range, right? Cool, 2 candles. We can find cleaner ones, but for the sake of the example, we have a range. I want to see aggressive move down. Okay, we have aggressive move down and aggressive move back up, right? That's going to create this higher time frame wick, and you can also pair it with a change in the state delivery. Then I can trade these continuations following. How do you execute trades just on the hourly, not going to the 5-minute? Well, in my course, I talk about a candle 2 closure entry or a candle 3 closure entry. It would just be this. If I'm trading this candle 2 closure and entry, just entering on the open of the next candle, I stop on the low. 2 hour. It's just that. Or using opposing candles. Let's say I'm entering in here somewhere. I need my stop below 50% of this, right? So it's just about finding an invalidation. These are more riskier entries. The opposing candles are less risky. What are days you avoid or call low probability? I don't really have one. I don't generally trade Mondays unless Friday sets up a reversal. So if Friday has a candle 2 closure, I can trade Monday. Besides that, don't really look at it. Besides that, I don't have anything that I'm like, oh, this is low probability, I'm not watching. You only use 3 time frames. No, I kind of fluctuate through them. So daily is always gonna be my bias. I'll use the hourly to profile the day as well as the 4 hour sometimes. Sometimes I'll even look at the 7 hour. Shout out AM, but rarely. And then from the hourly, I'm looking for a swing point on the hourly or 30. And then from there, I use the line time frames for entry. So it's not like I have to go from the daily to the hourly to the 5-minute. If you need that structure, then use that structure. Only look for the daily to hourly to 5, right? Or daily 30 to 5, or daily 30 to 3, right? If you need that structure, give yourself that structure. It's just I don't need the structure as much. I'm more fluent with it. Yeah, I do have a course in WAP. How do you paper trade while backtesting? I can't do it on my trading. I wouldn't worry about trade. Can anyone link that? Link my tweet about backtesting, insight backtesting. Someone will get it. That'll be sick. 81 messages since the start. Okay, cool. Was looking for short setups on gold, didn't get any. Fair. There are, like, we went over that. When you were on the path to become profitable, did you have a job? Yeah, I was a full-time student, 21 credits. I worked at a gym in the mornings, and then I worked at a bar from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I was trading. Yeah, I definitely had a job. For gold, wouldn't you be more hesitant since silver was looking? I haven't really been watching silver for the correlation between silver and gold, but if anything, it's just an SMT. Silver, fair enough, could trade that back in. See if there's actually a 6 setup hourly. Yeah, I doubt it. It's one of those things where it's going to show up and it's like you're entering at the lows, so wouldn't take that. You ever take partials early or go to break even because SMT forms against you? No. If my higher time frame analysis is right, it shouldn't matter. You're always going to have something against you. Like people will say this, for example. Oh, you have this fair value gap against you. Wouldn't you partial there? Or obviously not that severe, but like let's say, oh, this one here, it could still support price. At the end of the day, I don't care. My whole bias was, okay, I'm bearish. I'm expecting price to go lower. Why do I care about a fair value gap here? Do I care about some important lows? Yeah, maybe I would care about those. And by maybe, I do. You know, the Euro trade that you guys stopped out of, that's like a very picture perfect entry. Like that's just a super solid stop loss. I'm struggling to differentiate between phases of price out of accumulation. How do you know if it's manipulation versus a reversal or continuation? Allow more candles to close, right? Like here we are in silver right here. This looks like an aggressive move higher, right? One, it doesn't have any low, but it's met with an aggressive move lower. To me, that says higher time frame wick. This should continue lower, right? Because if we go to, we're on the, we can go to the 15. We'll have to go to the 30. Right? What I'm talking about is that move up and down there is creating a wick. Am I going to be right? Who knows? I'm wrong a lot. But I would say just look at the closures and the speed of price. Bearish example, we want C3 after C2 sweeps C1 high and closes back in the range for a candle 2 closure? Yes. But what if C3 doesn't hit TP and instead sweeps to C2 low and closes within? Well, then that's what happens here on ES hourly here. We have a bearish setup right here, sweeps its previous day low, closes back in. Then it's just going in the other way. Someone asked, hey, what about this setup? Well, it already hit its first target and then it didn't close outside the range. So now I'm just in the other direction. Garrett model similar to yours, but he enters before it. Sometimes he will be trading inside candle 2. My model only trades continuations. Something I struggle with myself is SMT. I know how to spot it, but I don't actually know what it means or how to act on it. I would say it'll come with time, but don't really focus on it too much. It just can be a confluence for now. Until you have mastered the model, I wouldn't stress on it too much. Sometimes the fair value gaps are sometimes the fair value gap that are irrelevant messes me up. How do you get to unsee them? I mean, it's just like this, right? We'll just use this move higher here. You're expecting this candle to expand, right? If you're expecting it to expand higher, do you care about this fair value gap here? Do you care about this high here? Right, we can go to a lower time frame. Do I care about this high here? Does it make sense that if price is going to expand higher, that price would reverse off of this high and then leave these? No. So it's just something that comes with time where it's like, I'm either right or wrong. If it hits here and then I'm wrong, cool, I'm wrong. But I should be right and it hits there. Right? Like there's only so much you can do to try to not lose. All right, I ripped through all those questions. We're at an hour now. Any other questions before I hop off and eat here soon? How do I profile the 4 hour? I generally focus on the hourly more so, but if you're looking on the 4 hour, it's just the same way I look at daily closures, right? Like this. Oh, nice. We had a weekly model here. All right. Does this look like it's going to be a bullish reversal? No. Is it a candle 2 closure? No. Do I have a candle 2 closure here? No. It's a candle 3 closure. All right, cool. So now we have this. Let's have some fun here real quick. So this is the hourly and or the weekly and 4 hour model. Now let's say we put it on there. Go to the 15 minute. So now we have a candle 3 closure on the 4 hour. Ah, so lame. Not even gonna print until we close over that. Anyways, let me do something. It's not gonna print, but now it'll print here. Oh, it took too long. Lame. Anyways, I was trying to show, because we have the weekly model, right? Candle 2 closure, expecting it to trade higher. And then we have a reach lower here and a candle 3 closure that I'd want to see candle 4 trade higher here. But we're missing this change in the state of delivery that doesn't print because it's too late, right? But that's the whole idea of trading it higher. Lame example. When are you live streaming on Ninja? They just asked me like this weekend. They're like, hey, can you fill in on Wednesday? And I was like, sure. And then Tradeify, I was supposed to do it Friday, but I was in France, had no Wi-Fi, nothing, and I tried and it didn't work. So I was like, I'll get you guys sorted. So I just did it today. What do you think the best prop firm is to trade with? I would just go to the site. It's AMNI's site, and you can just check out which one's best for you. Tristo cut the longs. You're a beast. The 3 minute. How do you understand which asset to trade whilst trading NQ and ES? So That's kind of what I talked about in this video. But I'm looking at the daily chart and a few others, and let's do it this way. Ready? Looking at this. All right. Looking at these two charts, is the left one more bullish or is the right one more bullish? Is the subdomain set up already? I don't know. It looks the same. All right, well then, have you been through my course yet? Riku? Hard. You have been? Okay, so you know if we're looking for this, we have a candle 2 closure here. Do we have a candle 2 closure here? No. This is a candle 3 closure, bearish. So taking a look, this is a bearish candle closure. This is a bullish one. So ES is stronger, NQ is weaker. If I want to long something, I want to long NQ, or ES. If I want to long something, or if I want to short, okay, I'm jumbling my words. If I want to long something, I want to focus on ES. If I want to short something, I want to focus on NQ. Then we go down to the hourly here. And as we play ahead here, right, you'll see as it's forming, which one is stronger and which one's weaker. Right, see how this one's already over this high? Expands higher. This one's struggling. Right? And then when we get the move down, which one's more aggressive? Right? Left is more bullish, correct. Yeah, you long the strong one, you short the weak one. Exactly. All right. Any further questions before I hop off? I do need to go eat some dinner. I have yet to eat all day and it's 7 p.m. Thanks for the stream. I'm still learning the basics of the model, so I'm a little overwhelmed within the detail. Yeah, I would say the best way to do it is just go to my very early live streams, like the ones like a year ago. You'll see that like I'm marking everything manually, going pretty slow. I think those will help you out quite a bit. So, all right, I'll end the stream there and I'll get that uploaded.